first objection, how can I oversee outsourced developers? And this objection actually includes two aspects, and these are a lack of trust and a need to manage teams or team and control outcomes. And let's see how can we overcome this. So first of all, trust. Well, I mean, the easiest and to me the most efficient way to like win this trust on the customer side is just to try. And trial periods, like this is the awesome tool to go for it. I mean, you don't have to think about outsourcing like I have to, invest 3 or 4 or 6 months ahead and, hire the developer for half a year. No, you can just go there and try him or her out on like 2-week sprint and see what happens. See how agency reacts. What was the culture? What's the communication? So trial periods, like short-term engagements, are a really cool tool in order to make trust and just to check whether it's a good match. So remember about trial periods. Second thing, it's partners ownership. So this all is regarding replacing and like guarantees which partners can give you. So for instance, someone is, not a perfect match for you, and you say, okay, dear agency, but this is not a good match for me. What can you really do about that? And such an agency should guarantee you a replacement. So for instance, okay, Mike is not good for you. We'll replace him with Kate, for instance, or stuff like that. So always ask about this ownership. What will happen if there isn't a good match and, for instance, the developers are already engaged? And third thing, and to me is the most important one, so cultural adherence. I mean, this is something very difficult to test before taking on a cooperation, but you can try this and you can like heighten your probability of a good match by screening process. So not only check technical skills, but also focus on communication, on language skills, on cultural values and stuff like that. Just hop on to a common call and just talk to those developers before you decide to hire them. And actually, the cultural adherence is a very good point in C region. I'll refer to that later on. But actually, this is when we think about like negatives and challenges. Most of the cases, the cultural adherence is a blocker in many projects. And what about management? Well, we have here, of course, reporting. So you should always be aware of how many hours that are burned by the given developers, and you should have information about that. So you can see the results like code reviews or like PRs and line of codes and stuff like that, or new features into your app. But you have to then, compare them to the hours that have been spent on it. So reporting is also, of course, obvious, but sometimes agency don't want you to see how many hours they're spending on demand. They, for instance, give you a report after 1 month or with an invoice. So ask always for being reported on demand, and maybe like weekly reports, or just have access to reporting tool. And what about tools? Just use your tools. I mean, communication, like task management tools. This is someone who is joining your team, so you should use your tools. And we always recommend that for client to use his or her tools in order to to secure this good communication. This is developer who is joining the team should adjust. So management and about reporting communication should be okay with this objection, but let's be honest, it takes time and does not always work out. And this is something I would like to stress. That is not only, silver lining that everything is okay and you can just go there and outsource, everything will be fine. No, there are risks. There are always risks. And like in this case, I just recommend to start small and check for yourself. Try this trial period. Try the given developer for 2 or 3 weeks. And then if it works out, just prolong it for 3 or 4 months. It will be totally okay for agency, or it should be okay.